Shalom, everyone, and welcome to Jerusalem. A story. Once there was a very righteous young couple. The husband was involved in commerce and he was widely successful. Nevertheless, he never forgot to give charity. And at the same time, when he had spare time, he would go ahead and he would study his Torah to the best of his ability. His wife was involved in gemachs, in charitable causes, in soup kitchens. And as a result of the amount of time that this couple spent in the community, serving the community, everyone loved them and just wanted to see them succeed. Nevertheless, for years after their marriage, they were not successful in having any children. The couple and the community prayed and beseeched God, and finally, after years, they managed to have a baby boy. And wow, the community and the family was so joyous. And come the circumcision, everyone showed up, and it was a joyous occasion beyond anything that the community had ever seen. However, shortly after this joyous time, terror struck, and this baby tragically passed away. Things got worse because shortly afterwards, the husband too fell sick, and in no time, he too passed away. This woman who had dedicated her life to serving others now found herself in the lowest of lows, and she locked herself in a depression for a long time, till finally one Friday she said, "Enough is enough. I may not know why this happened, nor would I wish it on anyone else, but I must trust that this too somehow is for the best, and where my knowledge ends, that's where my faith will begin." And finally that night, when she made this switch, she managed to actually have a good night's rest, and something incredible happened during her dream that night. She found herself in this incredible garden, and a righteous looking man approached her, and she knew she was in the spiritual Garden of Eden. And she turned to him and she said, "Excuse me, please tell me why I had to go through all this burden and tribulation." And he said, "Well, I think it's better if I show you. Would you like to see your husband?" She said, "Please, nothing would make me happier." And they go and they come to a palace, and they open the door and come in the palace, and there is 1,000 men in there, all with long beards and super lofty individuals, and they're listening to a Torah discourse delivered by a younger man in front. And she looks at the younger man and she realizes it's her husband. And after he finishes, he comes to her and he says, "My wife, good to see you." She says, "Please, tell me, how is it that all the time we were together, you were great in your commerce, but you were never such a lofty Torah scholar, and here you're giving over the most amazing Torah?" He says, "Let me tell you something. When in my previous life, before I married you, I was, in fact, the generation's great in terms of Torah study, and I was a great teacher. However, God decided after I finished that life that because I never married and had children and failed in keeping the very first commandment of pru or vu, to be fruitful and multiply, that I should come back and I should marry a woman, and as a result, managed to go ahead and fulfill this wonderful commandment. So as soon as I managed to, one, get married, and two, have a child, I had fulfilled my mission in that life." And she said, "But what of our son? Why did God do this to our baby boy?" He says, "Well, let me take you to him." And they go to an even loftier palace with tens of thousands of men listening to a Torah discourse, and a very lofty soul at the front leading it. And she realizes it's her baby boy. And he tells her, the husband, that this baby boy was a very lofty soul. However, in its past life, it came down into the world into a Jewish family, but was kidnapped before the 8th day and never got circumcised. And as a result, God decreed that even though it was such a lofty soul and did so much in that life, it had to come back to a Jewish family to have a proper circumcision on the 8th day. All of a sudden, after she woke up from this dream, she managed to see that while we may not necessarily understand why we go through the things in life, everything is tailor-made for us to achieve whatever it is that we need to achieve for our own spiritual rectifications and graduation. Shabbat Shalom and God bless.